Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sammy Ketchum, and welcome back to Sammy Ketchum TCG. Alright guys, I am here with a new deck profile. This is one of my old decks, but it has some new twists with the Unbroken Bonds expansion coming out. Pre-releases are later this month. And then next month, which is May, we will have the Unbroken Bonds set that's going to come out. This Pikarom deck is going to change because of that set. There are really three cards that will really make this deck a little bit better that comes out in this set, and we're going to show them to you with this deck. This Pikarom deck, the deck itself, it is already done really well in standard and in expanded. It's very powerful. It's very fast. It has very good energy acceleration with Pikarom's full blitz attack, getting 3 energies from the deck. You can attach them to any one of your Pokemon. Well, one of your Pokemon that of your choosing. That is just really good. But yeah, like I said, this is really good. I think it's still going to be pretty decent in the upcoming format. So let's get cracking on this thing. Let's see. We're going to start off with 3 Pikarom. Pikarom is of course the main attacker. It's 240 HP, which is pretty high. Not too many Pokemon can get over that. Other than other tag teams or Ultra Necrozma or things like that. But Pikarom's first attack, full blitz, does 150. It's not too shabby. Search your deck for 3 electric energies and attach them to one of your Pokemon. You can attach them to himself, or if you have another Pikarom on the bench, you can attach it to another Pikarom on the bench, which is really good. Pikarom's GX attack for 3 lightning energies. Tag Bolt GX. If you have, Tag Bolt GX, it does 200 damage. But if you have 3 extra energies on it, which is pretty easy to do with this deck, you can basically do 170 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. 170 damage is really good. You can snipe off Tapu Lele's, which is very good. You can snipe off other Pikarom's Tapu Koko GXs. I've actually done that a couple of times. And now we also have another option of something we can snipe off. We can now snipe off Dedenne GXs. Since the Dedenne GXs, their HP is 160, you'll be able to snipe them off the bench as well. If people are going to play Dedenne GX because Dedenne GX is basically, the new Shaman. And I'll talk about Dedenne GX a little bit later because it's in this deck as well. So, but it's another snipe target for Pikachu and Zekrom's GX attack, which is really good. Of course, his weakness is fighting. It's weak to Buzzhole. It's weak to Lycanroc. Weak to Lucario. It's pretty weak, but if this deck is fast enough, you can just speed right through them. You should be able to take prizes, no problem. Don't get me wrong, weakness will get this deck. And you will lose to it. But, you also have a great chance of winning. if you play your cards right. We have ourselves 2 Zeraora GX. Zeraora GX is in here because of its ability, Thunderclap Zone. Any Pokemon with electric energy attached to it has free retreat. You know, this bypasses Absol. This bypasses Absol. So if opponents are playing Absol on the bench to stop your basics from retreating, this bypasses that because you have an electric energy on your Pokemon. The Thunderclap Zone will let it retreat for free. Its first attack, Plasma Fist. It does 160, but he cannot attack the next turn, or can't use Plasma Fist the next turn. That's really easy to get around. Since it gives Pokemon with electric energy free retreat, you just retreat them out and bring something else up, and you can continue attacking. Which is a really good secondary attack to Full Blitz. The GX attack isn't bad. You can basically, with 1 energy, get up to 5 energies from your discard pile and attach them to any of your Pokemon in any way you like, which is very good. But we really won't use this GX attack ever. Let's see. Alright. Now here's some new Pokemon from the Unbroken Bonds set. Dedenne GX. Dedenne GX is electric. Has 160 HP. This is what I was talking about before. Since he's 160, he'll definitely be one-shotted by Pikachu and Zekrom's GX attack. Even though it can, it's still, honestly, it's still worth the risk to play him because, you know, he nets you so much draw power. You know, this is extra draw power on top of the draw supporters you have in your deck, which is very good. He's worth including in your deck. He's worth including in almost every deck, except for some that automatically have draw power included with them. This card is very good. Its ability says that when you play this from your hand, you can discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Now here's the kicker. The one thing that we're basically going to do with this card is we're going to get our hands down to maybe like 2 to 1 cards. You know, and then we're just going to discard those 2 cards. We're going to play him down, discard those 2 cards, and then draw 6 more. You know, those 2 cards may be cards we may want in a discard. Like in this deck, early on, we may want 2 lightning energies in the discard pile to use with Tapu Koko Prism Star. So if we leave 2 lightning energies in our hand, and we have the Energy X in our hand, we'll go, okay, I'll discard my hand, which is 2 lightning energies, hint, hint, draw 6 cards. I draw 6 cards. I end up drawing into a Nest Ball or Ultra Ball or something. And then I get out Tapu Koko Prism Star. Tapu Koko Prism Star gets those 2 energies right back onto the field. You know, great combo. That's just an example. But having extra draw power like this in decks again, like a Shaman EX type draw, is very good. Even though it has its drawbacks being a bench sitter, you know, being sniped or whatever, it's still worth the inclusion. This is such a great card. 1 copy of Tapu Koko GX. Tapu Koko GX is a very, very great card in Lightning decks these days. Just for the simple fact that his GX attack is a secondary GX attack in his deck. because you can basically knock off opponents' Pikaroms with this. If your opponent uses full blitz to either attach energies to the active or to the bench one, you could basically use Tapu Thunder GX, and Tapu Thunder GX does 50 damage times the amount of energy on all your opponent's Pokemon. So if your opponent has 6 energies in play, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's 300 damage. 300 damage right there. 6 energies in play. This slays opponent's Pikarom. You know, it'll get them every time. His first attack, Sky High Claws for 130. It's not bad either. It's alright. It hits a sweet spot with some non-GX Pokemon that are like 130 HP. You know, like I guess like Granbull, for example. But other than that, I mean, it could the 130 can be raised with Electro Powers. You know, Electro Powers and Choice Bands, of course. You know, so. Oh, and his Arrow Trail ability. His Arrow Trail ability is so good. That's the best part. His Arrow Trail ability. You basically, you can put him into play, attach as many energies as you like to him, and he becomes your active Pokemon. I mean, he's so simple to get powered up. You know, that's the best part of him. I almost forgot about that, but I have to mention that. You know. We have one copy of Tapu Lele GX. I went down a Tapu Lele because of certain other cards I have in this deck. We're going to talk about that when we get to them. But one copy of Tapu Lele because we have limited bench space. We now have limited bench space because we're going to have Dedenne GX on the bench as well as, you know, Marshadow, as well as Zero Aura, as well as another Pikarom, things like that. So our bench space is limited, so that's why only the one inclusion. You know, his first attack does 20 plus the energies on Tapu Lele and your opponent. You know, so which is really good. Energy Drive. Its ability, when you play it from your hand, lets you search your deck for a supporter, which is still very good. You search for Guzma, search for Cynthia, search for Lily. It's the main reason why it's in here. 170 HP. Of course, it's going to get sniped off by Pikarom's GX attack. Even though you still know that, it's still worth it. Let's see. Tapu Koko Prism Star. I talked a little bit about this earlier. Tapu Koko Prism Star's ability. Dance of the Ancients. Oh, man. All right. When he's on your bench, you can remove him from play and get 2 lightning energies from your discard pile and place them on two of your bench Pokemon. This is very good for powering up your Pokemon on the bench. It's great energy acceleration for electric type Pokemon. It's very good. It's really the only reason in here. The only reason in here, and it is so good, and it is so clutch. I love this card. Alright, we have ourselves one copy of Zapdos. Zapdos is really good at being aggressive in the early game to snipe off your opponent's basic Pokemon. Like, you can hit a Rockruff, you can hit a Zorua, you can hit a Jirachi. You know, its attack basically does 10 damage plus 70 more if this Pokemon came from your bench during this turn. So if you switched it out, if you played Guzma, if you retreated your Pokemon for this card, he basically does 70 more damage. Which is what I was talking about, which is really good. You know, in the beginning of the game, boom, you can just take out little knockouts like that. You know, it's also getting good against some other decks too. It's good against Night March. Not Night March, Lost March. Their Pokemons basically really don't go over 70 HP. Or 60 HP, I don't think. But yeah. Really good Pokemon. One copy of Marshadow. Marshadow, its ability, Let Loose. When you play it from your hand, both you and your opponent shuffle your hand into your decks and you draw 4 cards. This card is so disruptive. This card, if you do it at the right time, could basically end your opponent. Your opponent basically can't play the game if they don't get the right cards in their hand to play the game with. If they draw 4 cards, if they draw 4 useless cards that they cannot play with on their next turn, you know, then you could basically take them out of the game. You know, it is very disruptive, but at the same time, it's balanced because they still get to draw cards. You know what I'm saying? There's no telling what you would draw, but you may draw good, you may draw bad. But that's the drawback of Marshadow. Also, another drawback of Marshadow, if you're the person playing it, you can also put yourself into a bad hand with this card. So there's pluses and there's minuses to this card. But nevertheless, it's still a great card. It's still a great inclusion. You need this in this deck. Just in case you get Marshadowed yourself. I mean, if your opponent Marshadows you and you happen to either draw into this or an Ultra Ball, you can Marshadow back and maybe get something. You know, something like that. But yeah, this card is very needed in this deck. I'm also thinking about upping this to 2. But we'll see right now. We're just testing things out here. Now let's moving on to the supporters. We have ourselves 3 copies of Cynthia. Self-explanatory. Shuffle your hand to your deck, draw 6 cards. Three copies of Lily. Lily basically says if this is your first turn, you may draw until you have up to 8 cards instead of 6. So basically what you do is you basically get your hand down to maybe like 1 or 2 cards. You know, you use like a Nest Balls, you use Ultra Balls, you play down Pokemon from your hand, you play trainers, you get your hand down to maybe like 2, like I would say from 3 to maybe even 1 card, maybe even no cards. But if you get your hand down low enough, then you sit here and you play Lily, and you can draw up to 8 cards. So you can draw maybe 7 cards, including that 1, or 6 cards, including the 2, or 5 cards, including 3 you already have in your hand, which is very good. Having the other copies of Lily in here after the first turn is not bad either. It's still pretty decent draw power. But really, we have 3 copies in here to help that first turn along so we can see it more often. 2 copies of Erica's Hospitality. Erica's Hospitality basically says, if you have 4 cards in your hand, not including this one, you can basically draw up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play. If your opponent has 5 Pokemon in play, you get to draw 5 extra cards, including the 4, or 5 extra cards to go along with that 4 that you have in your hand. If your opponent has 6 Pokemon in play, you draw 6 extra cards. If your opponent has 4, you draw 4. You know, and so on. But this is a great card if your opponent basically just fills their bench up, which they're going to do because your opponent's going to have Pokemon on their bench because they're going to want to set up. Same thing with you. You're going to want to set up. You're going to want to get Pokemon on your bench. If they play Erica's against you, they're going to plus off of it. I mean, same thing. So it's just a great inclusion. Great draw power to help you draw more cards off the top of the deck. Alright, next up, we have 4 copies of Volkner. Volkner basically says you can search your deck for an item card and a lightning energy and add them to your hand. This is so good in this deck. You can search your deck for Choice Band. You could search your deck for Electro Power. You can search your deck for any one item card, which is really good. You can search your deck for Energy Switch. Excuse me. Search your deck for Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, what have you. It's very good for searching out an item. Also an electric energy. You know, this deck doesn't have a normal energy search. This card does it. It searches out an electric energy and an item. So, yeah, this is very good. We have ourselves 3 copies of Guzma. In a lot of decks, you have people playing 4 Guzma. This deck really only needs 3. One of the reasons why this deck only needs 3 is because of Pikarom's GX attack. Because since Pikarom can snipe something on the bench for 170, you really don't need to worry about bringing up another Pokemon to basically knock out from the bench. You know, but 3 is still really good. You know, Guzma can win games by itself or help you to win games. You know, which is very good. 4 copies of Electro Power. Electro Power helps to power up your electric Pokemon even more by adding 30 more damage. You know, this is so good. This is such a great electric an electric engine, which is very good. I honestly, I can't see myself without playing an electric deck. And if I'm playing an electric deck, I'm playing with 4 of these in it. Let's see. 4 copies of Energy Switch. Energy Switch basically is just what it says. You switch an energy from one of your Pokemon to another Pokemon, which is very good. Energy Switch is really good with Tapu Koko Prism Star. When you get energies back from the discard pile and attach it to your bench, you can use Energy Switch to switch those energies off and put them on your active or put them anywhere you want. You could take energies off of a Pikarom that's used full Blitz already and switch them off to another Pokemon and get them ready to attack. You know, it is so good. It is so good. Yeah. 3 copies of Nest Ball. All of our Pokemon in this deck are basics. And this helps us get basics on our bench fast. You know. This helps with the turn 1 Lily play. You either will start you will either open up with these and start nest balling so you can get your hand down, or after you play Lily, you'll draw into some and then you play these and get more of your basics down on the bench, which is very good. This helps you get set up quick and fast. 2 copies of Choice Band. Choice Band is another damage modifier. Basically, it says if you're attacking a GX or an EX, your attacks do 30 more damage when this is attached to your Pokemon. So this is very, very good. Against tag teams, this is really good. Against GXs, this is really good. So, I mean, yeah. This is basically standard in just about every single deck. Alright. We have some new cards we're going to talk about here. Pokegear. This is another new card from Unbroken Bonds. Basically, it says, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and search them for a supporter and add it to your hand. This is very good. This is why I dropped down to 1 Lele. Since this can search out a supporter within the 7 cards, you're most likely bound to get one. It's basically kind of like an energy lotto, but for supporters. You know. But the thing about it is, you automatically play a lot of supporters in your deck. I think you mainly play more supporters than you do energy, or real special energy, for that matter. And since you do, it ups the chances for this to work, to go off. Since you play more supporters, you're bound to get or hit a supporter. Right now I'm testing 2 of these. They have actually worked really great. I like it. I really like it. And it also saves me bench space because I don't have to play down a Lele to search a supporter. That's bench space I could save. Maybe in the long run, I may take out that Lele and just add another Pokegear and just use the Pokegear to search out a supporter. That's also an option. So, I'm still testing it out, but this is really, really a great card. It's a great card not only just for this deck, but for other decks as well. Alright, 2 copies of Electromagnetic Radar. Electromagnetic Radar was made for this deck. It's made for this deck, and it was actually made for lightning decks that have EX and GX Pokemon in them. What this card does, it says you discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for 2, not 1, but 2 Pokemon that are 2 lightning Pokemon that are EX or GXs. So you search your deck for 2 GXs and EXs that are lightning. So you can search your deck for 2 Pikaroms. You can search your deck for a Pikarom and a Tapu Koko GX. You can search your deck for the Dene GX and Zero Aura GX. You know what I'm saying? You can search your deck for a Jolteon GX. You know, or what have you. But this is so good. This is so good. It's like a double Ultra Ball in 1 card. It is so good for this deck. Like I love it. I really, really love it. It's just so good. I'm so glad we have something like this to search out our Pokemon. It just helps this deck get going even faster. We have ourselves 2 copies of Ultra Ball. We still need Ultra Ball. Even though we have the Radar, we still need Ultra Ball. So, you know, you discard 2 cards, go get any Pokemon from your deck, which is still really good. We still have Pokemon in this deck that we could search out with Ultra Ball. So, yeah. On to the stadiums. We have ourselves 1 copy of Aether Paradise Conservation Area. What this card does is it basically reduces the damage to 30 for your Lightning Pokemon and Grass Pokemon. Lightning and Grass basic Pokemon. Since this deck plays mostly Lightning basics, this is perfect for them. You know, reducing your opponent's damage by 30 is really good because they can't knock you out. And if they can't knock you out and you get another turn, you can basically end them. This is so good. This is so good in keeping your Pokemon alive. And then 1 copy of Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain is so good for this deck. All your electric Pokemon, their electric attacks cost 1 less. Cost 1 lightning less. So if Pikarom's Full Blitz costs 3 lightning energies, with this, it'll now cost 2 lightning energies. Zapdos' attack, instead of it costing 1 energy, it's now a free attack. Zeraora's Plasma Fist costs 2 lightning and a colorless. With this, it now only costs a lightning and a colorless. This is so good. Also, the one thing you want to note, Pikarom's GX attack, instead of it costing 3 lightning energies, it now costs 2. Which means that if he has 3 extra energies attached to it, that means it's 5 instead of 6. That's a big difference. And it really makes a big difference when you're going to attack. This is so good. This is so good. And then we have ourselves 12 lightning energies to power up your Pokemon. This deck, got a little bit better with the new set. Right now, I am testing this out. Seeing how things work. I may end up changing some things. But for right now, it's looking pretty good. Let me know what you guys think about it. Like, comment below, subscribe. And as always, make sure you take care of yourself and each other. Thank you.